All right. Welcome in. This is Toilets to Titles. This is episode number 136. This evening, I'm going to be breaking down my latest articles on toiletstotitles.com. I discussed my all dudes team, which is guys that I think are values, my all duds teams, guys that are disvalues. It feels very weird saying disvalue. I had to Google, like, what's the opposite of value? And it's just disvalue. And it still just doesn't feel right, but I'm just going to roll with it. So the duds are the guys that are disvalue. And this evening, it's a man's face who we didn't see too much this offseason because he was grinding. And he came out of the bullpen and he's ready to close out the offseason with me and then head right into the regular season. That's my main man, Justin Stevens at JustinFF_. Justin, what's cooking?
Hey, it's good to be back in the saddle again, my man. Feels good to be back on the show with you, and feels good to be back to be able to help. You know, we've got an awesome team. We've got like 18 guys that are putting in work, and I was sitting from the sidelines watching most of the time, and now I'm back to doing off-season breakdowns. I think I've got the Chiefs on the Tuesday after we get back from Canton, and I believe another one on that very next day on Wednesday. George and Nino have been really carrying the weight on those and lining up guests for me. So this is awesome. It's gonna be fun, and this is a fun show too. Like, cause you're gonna get like analysis about players, but also kind of about ADP, and like it's like so much of fantasy football typically is like opinionated. Like, I love this guy or I hate this guy or whatever. Right. But ADP doesn't lie, you know. Right. Like that's definite. That's dead set. So what our opinions are whether or not we think it's a good value, you know. I love it.
It's funny. It's funny because we're talking about growth, right? And you're talking about, like, I was like, hey, you know, it's important that you pull up ADP because, you know, some of the guys looked at my lists. Some of the guys from Toilets to Titles looked at the list and like, oh, this guy's not a dud, but it's in context. You need ADP. And he's like, where did you get the ADP? Justin asked me. I said, it's on our site. Go to toiletstotitles.com. That's how much we've grown in the offseason, man. So if you are looking for, I think Campy put it up there. He took it from Sleeper. So it's ADP, Superflex, one quarterback, all that good stuff. So if you want those tools, check out toiletstotitles.com. Sean Robinson's grinding. He's writing articles. He's doing his 32 for 32. The latest articles up there. We got Chuck's top 5 NFL offenses, my dudes and duds articles. Scheppstrodamas came back. He's looking into his crystal ball. He talked about, you know, regular season win totals. He's going, the next article up is AFC stuff. And so you definitely want to check out toiletstotitles.com. And speaking of growth, I noticed a big step for Toilets to Titles. I was listening to, I love listening to the other shows, you know, because usually for me, it's Disney podcasts, Universal podcasts. That might sound silly, but that takes me away when I'm working. You know, I like to do my invoices and stuff like that, but I also listen to you guys. And Justin hosted the roundtable this weekend, Sunday night. So every Sunday, we got new content. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. You hit the bell. You like, you comment. We got all sorts of stuff. But every Sunday, we do the roundtable. And George was on it. And a big piece of progress that I noticed, George and Jason, we know them for their mouths. Like, these guys, we've always been like, we don't curse, you know, we try to keep it clean. We try to keep it PG-13. And I was listening to the episode, and you know what? I wish I had this queued up. I wish I knew exactly what he said. I forget what he said. He said like shoot or dang or something. He said pissed, and he apologized to Justin. And because Justin tells these guys, you know, I guess the way it works with YouTube, you know, you can curse twice. After that, you know, I guess it becomes a mature rating and whatnot, affects the algorithm. Right. So, George, man, that's progress, no?
Yeah, and the funny part about that is that I'm the one that's usually trying to always drop the hints and the little subtle reminders, especially if I'm watching live and I hear the guys say it once, I'll chime into the chat and everything. But the last 2 times that we've hit or went over our limit was totally my fault. So, but I'm better now. I'm starting to cope. I'm starting to deal with it. My stress in my life is dying down, so I can stop taking it all out on Deshaun Watson, I guess.
Yeah. Because it ain't healthy. It ain't healthy. There's karma. The good Lord will take care of what the good Lord's got to take care of. Whatever you think the good Lord is, whatever. We're not going to go down that road. All right. Anyway, we're fired up, man. Make sure again, I've already said this, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We got so much going on. We got so much content. Check us out on Twitter at Toilets to Titles. Our pinned tweet is actually a graphic that's going to show you all of the live shows we're going to have. It's our show schedule for in season. We've been working on this for weeks. We're queued up, ready to go. We got DFS, IDP, Devi, Dynasty, Redraft. Everything is, and it's not just me and Justin every night. Like, you're not going to hear us. We don't just change hats, even though Justin changed 3 hats this evening before we went on air behind the scenes. We don't just change hats. And no, it's not the way it goes. Carolina Chris doesn't come on. He's not talking about that. No. The way it works is we got different guys who specialize in this stuff, and they're going to talk to you, and they're going to help you in your fantasy football season. So we greatly appreciate if you support the show. Another way you can support the show is check out our Patreon, patreon.com/toilets to titles. We have 5 tiers. Tier 1 is less than a Happy Meal a month, less than a cup of coffee. It's $3 to get you into the Discord chat. In the Discord chat, all the members are in there, all the Toilets to Titles members. We're talking fantasy football nonstop. And this is the time where it's really useful because you're getting ready for your redraft leagues and all that stuff. Even keepers, you got to make those keeper decisions. $5 and up. When you get $5, you're in the chat, and then you also get access to the waiver wire episodes that we're going to release directly on the Patreon app. So it goes right to you. And we send that episode out Monday night, immediately after Monday Night Football. And then the rest of the tiers, Frankenstein, free Frankenstein, $20. We'll break down a fantasy football league you play in. So we got all sorts of stuff. I'm not going to pitch it anymore. If you want to support the show, go check out our Patreon and see which level works for you. So Justin, we are heading to Canton. This is year three of Toilets to Titles. We've come a long way, and this is year 2 of Toilets to Titles heading to Canton. So what are you most excited for about going to Canton this year?
Well, I mean, the obvious one, obviously, is seeing all the guys, and we're going to meet some new people this weekend, and a special guest that I'm bringing along with me that I don't want to talk about because he's an avid watcher. So I know some people that are going to be going that are going to have a great time on multiple levels, not just a football level. But I'm not going to lie to you, Coach. Like, I'm really, really looking forward to this flag football tournament, and not at the level of like playing and all that, like some of you guys on our team, but you, but just that, just to get that feeling of being around that team again, and being out on a field and rooting for your guys and watching you guys play. It's going to be a lot of fun, and Uncle Steve and that special guest will be on the sidelines rooting you guys on as well. So
Emmett will be there. My son Emmett will be there, man. It'll
be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, Emmett and I might have to stand on the sidelines and throw a football around a little bit to keep you warm, just in case.
Just in case. Yeah, definitely. And he will, man. He's been playing catch with me a lot. And Joe Knows will be there. I'm excited because I'm sad. Rich ain't going to be there. It won't be the same this year without him. I was hoping Nate was going to make it out there because he's one of the original members. So there's still things in the future that we need to cross off. But I am excited that there are some new guys coming out there. It will be cool to see Alex for the first time, Joe for the first time. What I'm most looking forward to is I don't drink. So the way I sit down and I like to eat. So I've already been mapping out the food and stuff. I can't wait to sit down with the guys, eat some good food. And then we go live from Canton Friday night, I believe 9:30 p.m. And we're going to do a live show like we did last year. And this year, we're not going to be playing Mario Kart, but we are going to bring the Switch. My son's already told me we're going to be playing some games in the background. But we're going to go live. And we're going to kick off the Frankenstein draft. We have 2 guys that are going to be there that both pick first. We got Alex and we got Jesse. So Jesse's going to kick off the Creature from the Staff bathroom draft. And it's pretty funny because I was working with Jesse today. I forgot that he picked 1 and I picked 2. And I've been watching George Pickens and I gamble a little bit. And Scheppstrodamas, he throws me a few cues here and there. And I was like, you know what? I like the odds for George Pickens. I put $35 down on George Pickens this morning. I could win $612. Dang no, America. We'll still play. And maybe we'll stream it. It's just not going to be, if you're listening at home, Lori came in here, our producer, and she dropped in and she was concerned about Mario Kart. And we might still play, but it just won't be for draft position. But so I was talking to Jesse about it. It was 612 to bet 35, and I like the odds. So I talked him up to my man Jesse. And then an hour later, I was like, hey, man, because we've been talking about cards, Frankenstein cards, and I'm going to get into that shortly because it seems a lot of guys are interested in the cards, and they might go earlier than I expect. So I go to Jesse, I go, hey, who are you taking with that first pick? Because I picked second, and if he knows, maybe he'll tell me. And he goes, oh, probably that wide receiver you were talking about. I was like, oh, like I was there. I go running my mouth, because there's guys. I think the great thing is about the offseason is it seemed Ricky depleted early on, and now it seems like Nate, Brees Hall. I'm a little worried now that Becton got hurt, but I think he'll still be okay. I think he's guaranteed touches. Treylon Burks, Tyler Algier, Dameon Pierce. So there's more guys now that I'm pretty comfortable with, but I do like the upside of Pickens. Sky Moore's been getting a lot of action. Romeo Doubs has been getting. I heard you talk about him Sunday night, and Aaron Rodgers has some good things to say about him. So I'm actually feeling pretty confident about Romeo Doubs. So there are some players that I'm interested in, but there's really no guarantee. So maybe it would have been Pickens for me if I didn't talk him up to Jesse. But anyway, Justin, why don't you explain the cards and tell me which cards you like the most?
Well, I was actually trying to pull them up right now as we were talking, but I also have another theory that Jesse needs to consider. There is a chance that maybe you were talking up your guy, but not really talking up your guy. Like maybe you're actually going after like Brees Hall or something like that, and you were just trying to throw him off.
Yeah, that's definitely possible because earlier in the offseason, I was like, Brees Hall is the only guarantee. He's the only rookie I would guarantee, like at 101. So maybe it'll work to my benefit. Maybe it'll make Brees Hall fall into my lap.
All right. So as far as the cards go, they are on the Frankenstein. For the listeners that are actually in the league, they are on the main homepage, and you can find them in the messages. But I think you already know what my favorite one is, right? I absolutely love the idea. I don't know if I'm going to love it so much after we get rolling, but I love the idea of this leprechaun card.
It'll be fun for us because so I'm going to just give a little more detail. So the cards. So our Frankenstein Listener League is going into year 3, and we've expanded from one 14-team division to 3 12-team divisions. We're at 5 12-team divisions. We got listeners. We got friends of the show. Crazy. Scoring's crazy. We want you to play in it next year. So if you want in, we do giveaways. We do all sorts of stuff. And then the Patreon as well gets you in. We got 3 new divisions next year, 36 openings. So make sure you get in there. The cards was something we thought of this offseason. And I think it was a way, I think Justin or somebody was trying to calm me down from some of my ideas and by throwing this out there, and it actually expanded on my ideas. So these are draftable. These cards, you can draft one and you can play them once per season. All right. And they each have a time frame when you can play them. They each have different abilities. So the leprechaun is what Justin's talking about. They're all monster themed. All right. So Justin, why don't you describe the leprechaun card?
So the leprechaun card is a card that you have to play before our Tuesday night show. And I'll make sure I have the wheel prepped and ready to go every Tuesday in case anybody decides that they want to play it. But I think there is like a time deadline on those, but every card has some sort of a deadline, but the leprechaun card in particular, you have to play it like on Tuesday before the Tuesday night show. So it'll be after Monday Night Football or before a Tuesday night show. And the leprechaun card, because the leprechaun technically is a monster because of the movie series, The Leprechaun. And the leprechaun's all about luck. But if you watch the leprechaun and he would sometimes flip a coin to decide your fate, it's kind of 50-50, right? So we have 20 different possible rewards or punishments, 10 of each, that will be on a wheel. For those of you that ever watched the Sunday or the Fun Day Draft Show, we have like a wheel of consequences. We're going to use a wheel where we just spin the wheel to determine what your fate's going to be. It might be good luck. It might be bad. But if it's good, it could be really good. But if it's bad, it could be really bad. And just some of them real quick, like your opponent loses 50 points for this week's upcoming games. So like if John and I are playing this week and I spin the wheel and I get this, John automatically is going to lose 50 points going into our game. So he already knows up front that that he's battling an uphill battle. There's add 100 points to your season total. So like in the standings, we're just gonna straight up edit and add 100 points to your total, which is huge because like a good number of these playoff spots are based off of points for rather than win-loss record. Let's see. There's one here that says you get to set 3 starters of your opponent's lineup this week. No more than one player per position. So like you could go like quarterback, running back, wide receiver. You get to choose who you're starting in their starting lineup, one at each of those positions. And you must set them on Thursday, so before the Thursday night games, obviously. And then it says the opponent gets to work that allows the opponent to work the waivers and free agents and everything leading up to you setting those 3 players. So you have to set them between noon and kickoff of the Thursday night game. But yeah, there's just a bunch of different random stuff on here, and guys like George and there were a couple more that actually sounded like they were pretty interested in it, like they really want the wheel. So me drafting from the 109, as much as I love that card, I know what my luck's like, so I'm not gonna like draft it by any means, but I cannot wait to use it on the show.
Man, it's going to be fun. It's going to be very fun. And so you can draft. We changed some rules. We called some audibles. So the first 2 rounds are rookie only. The 3rd round is veteran non-quarterback only. There's a 3rd round reversal. 4th round is quarterback only. And then after that, it opens up. So rookies only first 2 rounds. We decided this year cards can be drafted in any round. They are the only thing that prior to the 5th round can be drafted in any round. And it's going to be very interesting this year. People are kind of like, oh, everyone's going to go cards in the first 2 rounds. It's going to affect the draft and blah, blah, blah. There's not enough good rookies. And I'm like, that is fine because it's going to be a year-to-year thing. Next year, the rookie class is going to be phenomenal. And people are going to go into the draft thinking cards are going to be jumping out the gate, and they're not. Like, that's the chaos. That's okay.
Right.
Like, I'm okay with the chaos. And there's also vampire style this league. So the fact that, you can affect your opponent, have him be down 50 points, that's going to affect his playoff seeding, his or her playoff seeding. And it's also going to affect, you might get a player out of it. One of the cards I really like is Pennywise the Clown. This one, a player on your roster can become any player at that position you play this card for. So if you play it at wide receiver, can become any player that's not in your opponent's roster. So if your opponent doesn't have Justin Jefferson or Cooper Kupp, you can slot Cooper Kupp or Justin Jefferson in for 1 week. I think that's absolutely phenomenal. And then you could do that and steal a player after the win. Like, that's the big thing. It's getting you the win. What I also like, and Alex likes this one, it's the Ghostbuster card. You get to block your opponent from using their monster card. So after they play it, you play the Ghostbuster. This one's going to be a mind bender because I feel like people are going to roster the Ghostbuster card, and it's almost people are going to be afraid to play their cards against you because you have the opportunity to block it. So I think those are the 2 strongest, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. The 101 on monster cards for me is the Ghostbuster card. I also want to throw out there, because we've had this question from a couple of the guys in the league on how they're going to know which cards to draft. So make sure you guys are going to the bylaws and just scroll down on the rules. You just keep scrolling to the bottom where you can manually input rules. Those of us that are commissioners have been on there, especially you, John. And Ben has done a lot of work on this, but we actually gave names to, like,
look at me
player names.
I got it, baby.
Look at that. All right, look at that. All right, make believe player names, and I'm gonna. It's small on my screen, so I'm still gonna go back and pull it up for me to see. But but like the Dracula card is actually called Vlad Dracula because Vlad was the first original Dracula. That was his real name or whatever. So when you go to draft a player, you're going to see the name Vlad Dracula as a player, and you will draft that player. You just drafted the Dracula card.
How cool is it that not only are the cards, but it's a monster-themed league, and there's going to be, like, you're going to be able to scroll through the player names, People might be on MFL ADP in a few weeks, and they're going to see Vlad Dracula, Pennywise the Clown. Who the hell are these clowns?
We got the Invisible Man, Slimer Ghostbuster.
Yes, very cool. Very cool. All right, so yeah, you definitely want to check those out. But because there's so many divisions, because Toilets to Titles has grown so much, we have individual division chats for each division, and we got a few moderators essentially from Toilets to Titles that are going to basically any questions that pop up, instead of just 60 people talking in one chat, we're going to break it down to multiple chats and make sure that things kind of get, because last year was tough because it was really just me, Justin, Ben was helping us out, and there was a lot of chaos, and we wanted to create the chaos. But now I think we're better suited to adapt and adjust to the chaos and keep it controlled.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, you want to start talking about dudes and duds or what?
I do. Like I said, this is one of my favorite shows of the season. I've been looking forward to this. I love hearing your dudes and duds.
Really? All right. So if you listen to the show in season, he's gassing me up over here. My head's swelling up. In season,
it doesn't take much.
Yeah, it doesn't. Every Tuesday night, I do my dudes and duds. It's my starts and sits. Okay, and in the off season, I come up with my prediction. At the end of the year, I give out awards. The guys who are the dudes, the guys who are the duds. It's not a good award to be a dud, but it is what it is. So preseason, I make my predictions. All right, so I'm going based off of ADP, where I see the value. There's a few guys that I think are extreme values, all right? And I'm starting with the quarterback. I got Lamar Jackson. So this is all dudes. All right, I got Lamar Jackson as my QB1 dude value. His Superflex ADP is 5th overall, which usually you're going to see quarterbacks go. Patrick Mahomes, for instance, is going 4th overall, but his redraft ADP is 50. All right, and for instance, that's 20 after Patrick Mahomes. So we're going to talk about. Let's look at redraft Superflex ADP, which I have pulled up on toiletstotitles.com, and I'm going to talk about some guys that some other quarterbacks that went above him. Let's see here. So we got Josh Allen, Jonathan Taylor, Justin Herbert, and Patrick Mahomes. All right, those are guys that went before him. I just think Lamar Jackson, he is coming on to a contract year. He hasn't been paid yet. These are usually the years that guys like him, guys that are trying to secure the bag, break out. He had some injuries last year. Things didn't go too well. I'm a little concerned with Tyler Linderbaum going down, but I still think their offensive line is going to be okay. I think Rashad Bateman's going to be good. Dobbins came back. Tyler Beatty, I think, is actually going to help that offense. He's a receiving threat, and if there's any issues with J.K. Dobbins, he should be able to pick it up. But at redraft ADP of 50, I mean, the quarterbacks who are taken above him, let's see, Justin Herbert's at 34, so that's 16 spots behind Justin Herbert. 16 spots. Guys like Breece Hall, Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne, J.K. Dobbins, these are all guys that were taken above him. And even Amari Cooper is one spot after him. So if I'm trying to go for a quarterback, I think this dude's going to finish probably top 3 quarterbacks this season in scoring. Justin, what do you think about Lamar Jackson being a dude?
So I've been saying all offseason, I think he's going to have a breakout, not a breakout, a bounce back, a huge bounce back season from last season. Running backs breed more running from a rushing quarterback. We see it time in and time out. And when that running back core got completely depleted before the season even started, that kind of sealed the fate of Lamar right out the gate. And then all of the secondary guys for the Ravens going down so early as well. People don't realize how important that is to a mobile quarterback to be able to have that time of possession for his team to continue to rack up those fantasy points, and teams were able to score a lot faster on the Ravens last season than they ever have been. I mean, traditionally speaking, the Ravens have a great defense, so to not be able to turn around and get right back on the field with your offense really hurts your fantasy points. So I agree with that completely. I will say I'm a little bummed about the ADP because in my main redraft, I'm 12th. And I never take a quarterback in the first 4 rounds. I won't do it. I don't care if because it's a 1 quarterback league. I don't care if Josh Allen's there in the 4th. I'm not doing it. But I know that Lamar will be gone before it gets back to me in that 6-7 turn or whatever. 7, 8, 5, 6, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm not really focusing too much on him. But if he does drop, I'm absolutely going to take him because I know he's going to blow up.
Man, so my next 2 are running backs. I got Saquon Barkley, who I am trying. So all of these guys, I'm trying to have as many rosters as possible. But on this all dudes list, there's only one other player I'm higher on this offseason. Saquon Barkley, his redraft ADP is 22 overall. I feel like that's stealing. I mean, after him, Javonte Williams and Leonard Fournette are only 3 picks away from him. Imagine missing out on Barkley. And, I like Javonte Williams, but I definitely think there's going to be a split there. I just think the ceiling is so much higher with Saquon Barkley than it is with the Javonte Williams and a Leonard Fournette. And then another back I have, his ADP is 23. It's Aaron Jones. I know Aaron Jones has A.J. Dillon over there, but they're going to run the wheels off of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. I talked about Romeo Doubs earlier. Christian Watson's probably coming back. He should be healthy soon. Alan Lazard, Robert Tonyan. They have, none of those guys scream elite performance wide receivers. They're going to get the job done because Aaron Rodgers is an elite performing quarterback. But I definitely think they're going to run the wheels off this cat. And that's an RB1. Saquon Barkley, Aaron Jones, they're RB1s, and you're taking them in the second round, close to the third round. In some leagues, their ADP right now is 22 and 23, but in some leagues, you're seeing them go a little later because, someone might be reaching on a Kyle Pitts or an A.J. Brown or, guys like that, but that might push those two back. But if I need an RB1, I'm taking one of those guys. I'm feeling comfortable about it.
So I said going into last season that I thought Saquon was going to come back, and I thought he was going to bounce back and have a huge season. And if you really watched his stats as he was getting over his injuries and really starting to like I guess he was already over the injury, but kind of really getting back into that playing shape, that third, fourth, and fifth week, he was practically the Saquon of old. Like he was already coming back. And then a fluke injury where he just twisted his ankle by stepping on a teammate's foot as he was looking off to the sideline after was so heartbreaking to see it happen, but he was back. Like he's going, like if he stays healthy, which I know is a big if for most running backs that have been hurt as much as him, but his injuries are not like those types of injuries. Like I'm not scared. And like with my on that where I get that 12th and 13th pick, I can promise you he's not going to get by me. He will be my second round pick. I don't care about AD, like ADP be damned sort of thing, right? Like I don't care about the ADP. If you're in the 12th spot, you got to get your guy. I mean, obviously I agree with that. I agree that he should be better than his 23, but if I'm reaching on one of those, it's Saquon.
Right. Well, the thing with Aaron Jones, I'm not saying reach, but if he falls into your lap around 23, 24, 25, that's a home run. That's a home run. Barkley, yeah. But no, I understand what you're saying. That's valuable in the context of this conversation. I understand. With Barkley, I would reach above the ADP. With Jones, if he falls in my lap, I am ecstatic. Yep. I'm ecstatic, especially if I was able to get a guy like Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, and get like a true wide receiver one, high end early in, the first. And then I was able to get him like maybe, say I pick, 212 and 3-1, and I get him in one of those two picks. Like, heck yeah, I'm feeling phenomenal.
In my league are watching this, and I'm telling you right now that he just described my plan. Like,
yeah, right. Heck yeah. So, and Barkley's another guy looking for the bag, man. He's trying to get a contract. I think they franchise, no, he's a 5th-year option. So after this year, the dude wants to get paid. And not for nothing, they rebuilt that offensive line. Daniel Jones still looks like junk, but the offensive line, I think they're going to be decent this year. And Daniel Jones looks like junk. So they're going to be ground game, dump offs. And if this is the last year they have Saquon Barkley, that's another reason this dude's going to get the wheels ran off of him. Run him down, let him go. That's the way the NFL works, man. And I wouldn't be surprised if next year his ADP jumps all the way from 24 to top 12.
It's fair.
Yeah, he's still young. He's like 25 years old.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, go ahead.
Oh, nope. I almost skipped ahead. My fault. You go ahead.
You're good. All right. So I'm going to talk about 2 wide receivers here. Actually, let me talk about. Let me not put this one guy with the other 2. I'm going to do 1 and then 2. And the first one is Jalen Waddle. All right. So Jalen Waddle is a guy I have been beating.
That's why I froze up, dude. Honestly, we were just talking about Daniel Jones,
Right.
and I was like, well, since we're talking about him, I'll go ahead and
Right.
bring up this other guy. But then I was like, oh no, he wants to talk about this guy.
Yeah, yeah. So Jalen Waddle is a guy I've been beating the drum for all off season. I think he is going to outscore Tyreek Hill significantly. I think Tyreek Hill is going to only help Jalen Waddle. Defenses are going to try to bracket Tyreek Hill, and the way they're going to try to bracket Jalen Waddle is because they're going to have the deep safety is going to be over the top of Tyreek. They're going to have to they're going to put a corner, they're going to put a linebacker inside of him or a strong safety, and no linebacker or strong safety is going to be able to run with Jalen Waddle across the middle of the field. He's making plays in camp. He's already linked up with Tua. I think he's a better wide receiver than Tyreek Hill. Like, Tyreek Hill is a physical specimen. He is an absolute athlete, and he's one of the best athletes to play the wide receiver position, that I've watched. Like, he usually athletes, like, remember Marquise Goodwin came out of University of Texas, track athlete, like Olympics. It didn't translate. It translated a little bit. Tyreek Hill is that type of athlete, and he's made it work. Like, I remember he came into the NFL his rookie year. It was more punt return, kick return, and then boom, blew the top off. And then going into the next year, everyone was like, oh, he's a gimmick guy. There's no way he's actually going to transition to the position. This isn't going to be consistent. Boom, it was consistent. So don't get me wrong. Tyreek Hill is a good wide receiver, elite athlete. I would maybe even say great wide receiver, elite athlete. I think Jalen Waddle is an elite athlete and an elite wide receiver. Like, this dude runs routes on routes on routes. His yards after the catch, his run with the ball, I love it. Again, he's linked up with Tua, and I'm just everywhere. So right now, his redraft ADP is 44 overall. There are guys. David Montgomery's going above him. I like David Montgomery. This is but that dude's a guy I want as my RB2. Like, I'm waiting for this cat. Like, I'm settling for David Montgomery because the floor is high. All right, we got Antonio Gibson going 40th overall. Breece Hall going 44th. Terry McLaurin, who I love Terry McLaurin, but we know Terry McLaurin's not a guy who's going to catch 120 balls. The dude's going to catch about 88 balls, 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns, which is good. He's another high floor guy, but the ceiling's not there. Okay, we got Josh Jacobs right there, Travis Etienne right there. All of those guys. Jalen Waddle is going to outscore significantly. So I think that's extreme value at 44 overall. What do you think?
Well, I think the top 8 wide receivers being drafted right now all deserve to be the top 8. I feel very confident that all 8 of them kind of deserve to be right there. Right now, they've got Jalen Waddle ADP wise listed as the 9th guy, and to me, between Waddle to about probably wide receiver 14, Deontay Johnson, I think they're all really, really close. And I think in that whole group, that whole tier right there, honestly, Tyreek is the only guy that I would take over him. And I do think that they're going to be close. So, I mean, the whole idea here is value. And if that's the case, Waddle isn't high on a lot of people's list. So, Uncle Steve, what are you calling me for, man?
I thought that was an ESPN alert.
No, it was Uncle Steve. We're recording right now. You should be watching this. He's probably calling in to talk about how he knows about my strategy now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if we're talking the whole show is about value, I think you're getting it with him there, because you're going to get your guy, and there's a good chance that he's not on a lot of targets right now because Tyreek is there. Like, especially in redraft, a lot of people are going to be targeting, the guys they know. That's how a lot of redraft leagues are. Oh, Tyreek Hill's available. He's a top name wide receiver. I want him. And then that's going to just drop him down a little bit. So I think you will get value, especially in redraft.
The guys above him in redraft, Deebo Samuel, he's going to outscore. Mike Evans, he's going to outscore. T. Higgins, he's going to outscore. CeeDee Lamb, he's going to outscore. Like, I think he's going to outscore all these guys. I've said it. I put it on the bathroom board. I believe that he is going to finish as a top 5 wide receiver in PPR this year. That's where I'm planting my flag. All right, let's go on to the next 2 wide receivers. All right. I got Juju Smith-Schuster. I got Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney, Nino talked about him on Dynasty Diamonds. He drops those episodes here and there. You want to check them out. They're about little 4-minute episodes talking about how you're going to find a diamond in the rough. Nino does great work. Kadarius Toney, he talked about early in the offseason. Since then, the dude has been nothing but quiet. Off the field, we haven't heard nothing. And then on the field, he's showcasing that special ability. man, he had a performance against Dallas last year. I think he had like 12 receptions, 170 yards. I saw firsthand what he can do with the ball in his hand. And the great thing about this guy is it's simple routes. He's going to get open vertical. He's going to get open on a post. He's going to get open on a bubble screen. It's nothing that's going to be too complicated for Daniel Jones to get him the ball. I think this guy, if he could stay healthy, if he could stay out of trouble, so his ADP right now is 116 in redraft. All right. So, I mean, that's what? That's 10 rounds in. If I'm taking Kadarius Toney as my wide receiver 3, which is where I'm trying to take him, if I'm putting him in as my wide receiver 3, he has wide receiver 1 upside. Like if he's my flex, in one league I have Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, and Kadarius Toney's my 4. If I have that dude as my flex, I am ecstatic. I think he's absolutely. I mean, Marquise Brown, his ADP is 60th. That's almost half the ADP of Kadarius Toney. I think the upside is identical. I think, and Marquise Brown, he got in trouble this offseason. Kadarius Toney didn't. You're waiting 5 rounds later, and you're getting the same upside. And then Juju Smith-Schuster is a guy that, I didn't draft at all this offseason until as of late. I kind of blanked on the guy because I was over the dancing shenanigans. And you know what? I shouldn't have let that get, cloud my judgment, because he's a decent football player. He's better. And we cut in and cut out, but I think we're good. He's great after the catch. And I'm seeing him link up with Patrick Mahomes. It looks like they're connecting, and Patrick Mahomes needs somebody he can rely on. He's got Travis Kelce. He needs another target. I think Sky Moore's going to get peppered in there. He's going to be all right. But I think Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be his other safety blanket. Besides Travis Kelce, his ADP right now is 76, so slightly higher than Kadarius Toney. But I do think if he's your wide receiver 3, I think he's going to have some monster weeks. So what do you think of those two, Justin?
Of the two, I think just because of the value, I would probably want to target Kadarius more than anything. We just got through we're just kind of trash talking Daniel Jones just a little bit, but he does tend to be a little bit more, I don't want to say accurate, because his completion percentage is about the same with or without Barkley, but he does tend to risk it a little more, and he's a little more accurate on the deep balls when he has Saquon to keep that defense honest. I mean, the stats do back that up. So, if we're that big on Saquon, that indirectly should mean that we should be bigger on Kadarius Toney than we are, and so yeah, I'm falling right into that with you. Like how you were against Juju for reasons that you shouldn't have been. I am on record for talking about how much of a head case Kadarius Toney is at the beginning of the offseason, and just like you said, like I shouldn't let that cloud my judgment, because people can change. I get it. Sometimes they do. Negan still needs to be taken care of by Maggie, but I get it. People can change.
Negan, a little Negan reference, and we got Lucille. Surprised Joe Knows hasn't dropped in here yet. Who's got Negan is in the Frankenstein League. Every team is named after a monster, and Joe named himself after a bat, which is Lucille, which is it was fair game. We dug it. All right, so my final two, I got Dalton Schultz at tight end. I wanted everything but. So I wanted Jake Ferguson to take the job. I was talking it into existence. I still think he's going to be all right. But Dalton Schultz, the dude doesn't have a contract. He's on the franchise tag. Michael Gallup's hurt. James Washington goes down. It's the CeeDee Lamb show, and it's the Dalton Schultz show. Dalton Schultz is going to catch 110 balls this year. That dude, it might be an 8-yard per reception average. It might be a 9-yard per reception average, whatever. But he is going to get targets. If you're playing tight end premium, he's going after TJ Hawkinson. I don't think there's any chance TJ Hawkinson outscores him. I honestly don't. Board. What's that?
Bathroom board.
Bathroom board. So you think Hawkinson's going to outscore Schultz?
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to talk about that a little bit more here in a little bit.
Okay. So Hawkinson, and I'll even say he's going to outscore Kittle.
Oh, geez.
Kittle's ADP right now is 37 in redraft. Dalton Schultz ADP right now is 62 in redraft. I'll say, if you want, I'll give you both. I think Dalton Schultz outscores both of them.
I mean, no, it's all right. I'm cool with just TJ. Like
So you agree he's going to outscore Kittle?
Well, I just honestly I don't think so, but I want to make the bet a little bit more fair because I think that TJ
fair. Who says fair?
I
So that you just slapped me in the face saying it's fair. I
okay,
told you
fine,
I'm willing to
fine,
take it.
Fine. I'm taking Kittle too then. Jeez, I'll just take the automatic win.
Automatic win. I cannot wait. This Schultz reaping that's going to come at the end. So, all right. But anyway, tight end premium, and I know that's not factored into the ADP or probably adjusted a little bit, but I've been seeing him go. He's like, there's an end of a tight end run, then there's a gap, and then he kind of starts the next tight end run. It's him, Dawson Knox, guys like that. And, they're all solid players, but I do think Dalton Schultz he's going to have, probably 8-9 touchdowns, 110 receptions, or like 800 yards. I think he's going to have himself a year. And then finally, my last player on here, my super flex guy, it's Derek Carr. His redraft ADP is 114. His super flex ADP is 34 overall. He's another dude who's just kind of a forgotten guy here. And his team is going to be loaded at the passing, like in the aerial attack. Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, those are all dudes. All of those guys are dudes. And it's funny I said that because Devontae Adams, you're actually going to find out I said he's a dud. But he's on the field. He's a dude. But I just think we're not going to get from him. We'll talk about that in a little bit. What did Lori say? So out of all people, Negan, a fictional character, is the one who can change. Yeah, who can't change. Well, it depends on how they write it, Lori. You know what I mean? We can't tell you. Justin thinks the writers won't change him, but so I think Derek Carr, if he's your quarterback too, which likely is Superflex ADP 34, I feel great. If I have, let's say I got Joe Burrow and Derek Carr, I'm feeling pretty damn good. So overall synopsis on the past few guys I talked about, and then we'll roll into the duds.
Actually, I don't really have a whole lot to add to that, but I would like to throw in kind of a I don't want to call him an honorable mention because it's your list, but maybe somebody that I would throw in as a potential here, and I think maybe you didn't roll with it because now I can't find it. I can't find him on the list. I can tell you who it is, obviously, but oh man, he's on the second page. No way.
ADP.
Yeah.
What position? I'll guess it.
It's Zeke Elliott. It's there it is, Zeke Elliott. I felt like maybe you didn't mention it because you didn't want to be too much of a homer with Dalton Schultz, who.
But also, I was so high on Jones and Barkley, that.
Yeah, but it just shows you the depth of solid running backs that are in this year for redraft purposes. Anyway, he's being considered the RB23 right now. There is no way there are 22 running backs in the NFL that are better than him at fantasy football. And the ADP is 60.5. That's the ADP. Oh man, you know what?
Uncle Steve is going hammer.
Yep, he's coming on the show.
Uncle Steve, we need to hear it live. Go live.
Uncle Steve, welcome to Toilets to Titles. I texted you and told you that I was on the show, and you called back again. So I'm guessing you wanted to call in and talk.
Uncle Steve, go live. Go ahead. Oh, we got him on speaker.
Oh, you know what? He's probably butt dialing me.
Uncle Steve, there we've solved a crime. We solved a mystery on Toilets to Titles Live. This is the content you love. Uncle Steve, who's our biggest fan, for those of you listening, those of you new to the show, Uncle Steve has been rocking with us since day one. He's our stan. He's our, what is it called? A groupie. He's who's the people that go to all the concerts. Not groupies, but like roadies, right?
Yeah, Steve, are you there?
Oh, team mascot. All right, let's move on to duds. Let's move on to duds.
It's tied into my.
And mute your phone.
I'll just shut it off.
All right, so duds. This first one I caught some flack early on from the guys at Toilets to Titles, but they didn't read the article. All right, it's Patrick Mahomes. His Superflex ADP is 4. His redraft ADP is 30. he's going to finish top 10 quarterback. Like, it's going to happen. I'm not going to say that's not going to happen. I believe it's going to happen. What I'm trying to say is if you pass on a guy like Patrick Mahomes, who I expect to struggle a bit due to the loss of Tyreek Hill, you can get more value in the early part of the draft in Superflex. If you pick top 4, where Mahomes' ADP is 4, you could land a guy like Cooper Kupp, whose ADP is 6, Christian McCaffrey, his ADP is 10, and still end up with a guy like Matthew Stafford, whose Superflex ADP is 20, or Jalen Hurts, whose Superflex ADP is 21, and both of which I expect to score similarly to Mahomes this season. I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is a quarterback on the same level as Patrick Mahomes, but I think with the running, just in fantasy purposes, I think the guy's going to score points this year. And Matthew Stafford, adding Allen Robinson, Cooper Kupp, he's going to score points this year. I wouldn't be surprised if Matthew Stafford outscores Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying it's close enough that you waiting 60 picks to get that 16 picks to go from 4th to 20th and get Stafford, I think that's worth waiting. And I just don't think he's going to live up to the Superflex ADP of 4. What do you think?
I think that makes a lot of sense in Superflex. I think if you're going to go with another position, because I think if he's going ADP 4 and the top 3 are gone, I mean, you're going to take a quarterback in there anyway, most likely. And if you are, like, I don't have a problem with you taking Mahomes. If you rather wait, like you said, for a Stafford in the second round, then I'm assuming that means you're going with another position. And if that's the case, Jonathan Taylor's still there. You want to get a top running back or something, totally makes sense. But if you are one of those guys that have to get a quarterback in the first round of a super flex no matter what, then more power to you. Go for it.
All right, my next guy, I'm going running back. I'm going Austin Eckler. Some people are really high on him this season. His redraft ADP is 4. I just think that's a little high. He's only ever played 16 games once in his career. That was last year. He had 911 carries on the ground. He had 12 rushing touchdowns. He had 647 receiving yards, 70 receptions. Great season. I just don't think he can replicate it. I don't. He's 27 years old. They brought in Isaiah Spiller. I think Austin Eckler is going to get he's going to get the bulk of the touches when he's out there, but I honestly don't see him playing more than 12 games. I think there's too much risk. If I'm picking in the top 5, if I'm taking a skill position guy, like not a quarterback, I want to know, like, I'd rather go with Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, guys that I think I can expect 16 games at least. I can expect, I feel like you're guaranteed to hit a triple with those guys. With Austin Eckler, you could swing for the fence, you could hit the home run, but you can miss. So at ADP 4, I just don't think it's going to live up to the value if he only plays 12 games. What do you think?
I agree. Nailed it. I don't really have anything to add.
And then Joe Mixon, this is one that everybody loves as well. His ADP is 10. Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Mixon. I just think there's running backs behind him that I would rather have. I do. I question his vision. Last year he had 1168 yards. His second year, like, he's had big years. Last year he had the most touchdowns he's had. He's pretty consistent, but he has a high floor. But I just think, man, I think there's a few guys after him that I would take. In the running backs I would take after him, I would take Nick Chubb. I like Nick Chubb. Alvin Kamara, if he doesn't get suspended, I would take Alvin Kamara. Saquon Barkley, I would take him over. Those are guys. And again, we already talked about Saquon Barkley. His redraft ADP is what, 22? That's 12. That's a whole round later. So, I think, maybe I'm talking out of both sides of my face, because I think what you're getting with Mixon. It's a high floor. That's the like what I talked about earlier, why I'm kind of avoiding Eckler. I think Mixon's the opposite. I think he's going to be steady Eddie, but at 10th, closer to the second round, I think there's guys with higher ceilings that I would prefer to get, and you can get them a little later on. What do you think about Mixon, Justin?
Would you agree Mixon had a pretty solid year last season?
Oh, yeah. We had 1,200 yards. Very solid. Right. And he had 13. I think he had what? How many touchdowns did he have last year? Like 13 touchdowns?
And as a team, though, they were the 10th worst rushing offense in the league. He just has so much volume. Like he was 1,300 of the 1,700 yards that they rushed for. Like, just so much volume. And I think that's where a lot of that ADP comes into play, where a lot of that value that other people take on it. It's very difficult to do that 2 seasons in a row for a running back. Like, right. Very difficult. So that's something else to consider. Like, you're taking that extra added injury risk. I mean, not that we can, estimate injury, but that is always something that kind of scares me. Sometimes it's better to get the next up and coming guy, like a Najee Harris or something, than it is to the guy that has so many carries under his belt. So I don't know. I think his ADP is probably right about where it should be for redraft. But even then, I still might consider letting him slip a little bit longer. But yeah, Superflex, I don't know. A little high for me.
Yeah, a little, but I can understand, but I don't know if I think he's going to be able to absolutely replicate. Okay, the next guy I got is Devontae Adams, whose redraft ADP is 11 overall. I love Devontae Adams, I absolutely do, but I don't think he's a first round player. I just don't think he's going to get the same production with the Raiders as opposed to what he got. Joe Exotic. That's funny. I like that. That's Jared. You have to do some sort of cosplay for Halloween where you mix up Joe Exotic and Joe Mixon. I would love to see that this year on the Halloween episode. But anyway, I don't think it's Derek Carr, good quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, one of the best of all time. Devontae Adams had no competition for touches last year. He is going to have competition for touches this year. It's just not going to happen. You got Darren Waller, you got Hunter Renfrow. The ball's going to be distributed. He's going to have a great season. He is a wide receiver 1, but he isn't a top 12 player. I just don't think he can return that volume. And again, this is safe. He's a safe pick, but I don't think the ceiling is there like some of these other guys. What do you think?
Yeah, he's the wide receiver 7 overall, and that's really started to slip because at one point his ADP had him at the wide receiver 3 or 4. So it's already starting to slip. So I think a lot of people are already starting to see it. But for me, where it kind of came into play was when I was looking at the other wide receivers around him, like Deebo Samuels has jumped ahead of him as the wide receiver.
Where did you see? Where's this?
The
ADP I'm looking at on our site, it has the only wide receivers ahead of him are Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Cooper Kupp.
It's on the positional rank at the far right. If you look at the positional rank, and I think that's taking an average of all of them combined.
Okay.
So he's a little bit more consistently like he's right there behind Devontae on a lot of them, and then took a jump on one of them or something like that. But AJ Brown is kind of the wide receiver 5 right now.
Really?
CD wide receiver 4. Yeah, I don't know if that's just how the average is working out or not. Actually, it can't be because they have Cooper Kupp as the wide receiver 3, and he's.
Yeah, I think we should just look at redraft just strictly because you're taking in multiple factors with dynasty and dynasty, superflex, half PPR. Let's just focus on redraft because in redraft the only receivers above him are Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Cooper Kupp. So he's wide receiver 4 in regular redraft, and I just don't think. I don't see it. I don't see it happening again.
Yeah.
And Stephon Diggs is right after him. Then we got CeeDee Lamb. Then we got Tyreek Hill. So that brings me to the next guy who you're going to defend. Tyreek Hill, his ADP is 18 overall. I think he's going to have a good season. I don't think it's going to be as good as Jalen Waddle's. AJ Brown, I think he's around. You can get him around later. I think he might outscore Tyreek Hill. Keenan Allen, he's been very consistent. I don't think Tyreek Hill is going to give you Tyreek Hill numbers from Kansas City.
Yeah, no, Tyreek Hill isn't the guy that I was planning on defending.
It's Hawkinson, right?
Yeah, it's Hawk, but I do have Tyreek like really close to Waddle. Like I think they're going to be neck and neck, and honestly, between the two of them, if they're both coming up on me, it's going to be whichever one is still left is the one that I want.
So the next one is Amari Cooper. Another guy, we don't know what they're. So his ADP right now is 51. All right, he's a elite route runner, very good wide receiver. I just don't think we don't. Is it going to be Brissett? We don't know how many games Watson's going to have with them. There's a lot of question marks. There are guys after him, like Allen Robinson is 11 picks after him. Mike Williams. I did Chargers projections, and I have Mike Williams outscoring Keenan Allen. Mike Williams is going to put up numbers. If you're telling me I can have Amari Cooper, I can wait 10 picks and get Mike Williams or Allen Robinson, I'm taking Mike Williams or Allen Robinson over him any day of the week. All right, any day. Even Brandon Cooks, Amon-Ra St. Brown. These are all guys, those now we're talking a whole round later than them. I think there's just value after that. I don't think Amari Cooper's the play. All right, TJ Hawkinson's my last one. Well, no, he's not. The last one I think you're going to love. TJ Hawkinson, this is strictly because I needed a tight end. He's above Dalton Schultz. I think, he's a great player. I think what he's asked to do in that offense, he's a physical guy. He's kind of like George Kittle, tough, aggressive, gets a little banged up, plays hurt. They don't have the best quarterback. They don't have the best passing attack. They want to run the football. I think I'd want Dalton Schultz, even Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox is a guy I think I'd be more comfortable waiting on and getting in a high-flying offense. He's starting to click with Josh Allen down there in Buffalo. Dallas Goedert, I think, can outproduce TJ Hawkinson. He's about 2 rounds later. So I don't think he belongs in the tier. Even Zach Ertz, man. I think Zach Ertz is going to he's going to score a lot. He's going to surprise people with Kyler Murray this year. I don't think he belongs in that top tier. I think he belongs in the second tier. So go ahead, have at it. TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah, so for me, for TJ, like it typically usually always takes tight ends some time to develop and mold or whatever. And even his rookie year, he well outperformed what a lot of people felt like he was going to outperform, or what he was going to perform. And then last season, he started off a lot better than people are giving him credit for. Those first 4 games, I think he was like the tight end 4 or something like that. He had one bad game in there in that mix, but 3 of the 4 games were really good, and he was like a top 4 tight end. And then Frank Ragnow went down, the center for the Lions. And when that happened, it totally changed the face of that offense. And then there was the backup center that came in. I think it was Evan Brown, if I'm remembering correctly. But what I remember reading about it on PFF too was that like PFF gives their rankings of offensive linemen, and the year before, Frank Ragnow was listed as like one of the top-notch centers in the league as far as his overall performance. And then they went to Evan Brown when he filled in for him as a backup, and he was one of the absolute worst performing centers in the league. And the reason this is all important to Hawkinson is because he had to start playing a totally different position. They played a lot more 2 tight end sets. He had to squeeze into the line. He wasn't able to break free and be a deep middle threat like he was his rookie year. He was completely utilized as a different type of player. And I just feel strongly that his 3rd year is going to be that 3rd year breakout, and he's going to be able to play that tight end hybrid slot receiver position where he can get free and open, and they're going to utilize him a lot. I think that that utilization is going to really help with his overall points. So it's the only one on here that I can look at both lists and say, man, I just don't agree with that one. But it also might be because I have a lot of shares of them. You're muted, Coach.
I never do that. I freaking dropped the ball right there. I'm going to redeem myself with this last one. Maybe that was a sign, that maybe I shouldn't mention this next one. Maybe this next one isn't a dud, but I'm going to roll with it. All right. It's Tom Brady. His Superflex ADP is 25. It's up in the air whether or not Chris Godwin will start the season. He's running around. He's in that big old knee brace, but he's not the only question mark for the Buccaneers. Their interior offensive line is absolutely decimated. If you watch teams have success against Tom Brady, they have success with interior pressure. The dude cannot stand interior pressure. And now, not only is he going to have interior pressure, he is 45 years old. He's an old man. He's not going to have Rob Gronkowski. Leonard Fournette, I think, is going to check out when things get tough because that's what Leonard Fournette does. It's what he does. When things get tough, The dude wants no business. No business. People love him this year. I'm not touching him anywhere. I don't want him on any of my rosters. I'm just avoiding him at his current ADP. The fall off is going to come. It's going to come. I already mentioned Matthew Stafford. He's about 4 picks above Tom Brady. I think I'd much rather Matthew Stafford. And then I also mentioned Derek Carr. Derek Carr's a full round later. I'd like that. I'm not talking NFL. In NFL, I want Tom Brady. Tom Brady's a winner. In fantasy football, I don't have the faith. If his ADP drops because people are nervous like I am, and he's maybe 40th overall, I'll take him. I'll take him all day, especially like if I want to do addition by subtraction, right? Say I already got 2 quarterbacks. Say this guy's floating around there, 43, 44. I got some teams who avoided quarterback completely, went high upside guys early. I'll take Tom Brady as my quarterback 3 just so you can't have him, because there is the potential there for him to do something. I just don't want him as my QB1. All right. I'd much rather back in QB2, QB3, because I think the day's coming. It's got it, right? Father Time is going to get you at some point. It's going to come eventually.
Yeah, every single year, guys come out and they say Tom Brady's going to lose it this year. He's going to lose it this year. And
I said it last year.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I've never said it until last year, but last year was the first year, and he still proved me wrong. Like, I was holding off and waiting. He still proved me wrong. But to your point, though, after Tom Brady is Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford. Both of those guys should not be getting drafted after him. Trey Lance, yeah, I could definitely see that one, because I'm not big on Lance anyway. But even if you go a little bit deeper, I would take Derek Carr over him this year. Kirk Cousins, even, I would take over him because of the weapons that he has. I don't know about Tua, but those are also rounds later. Like like you said, like that's the difference of the first pick in the 8th round to like the 14th round. And that's the 14th round, guys, and redraft is where you need to be taking your quarterbacks.
Yep.
Just face it.
All right. Well, hey, that does it for the dudes and duds. Go check out toiletstotitles.com. We got all sorts of articles on there. You will find those articles, so you don't have to write all that stuff down. I'm telling you, avoid the guys I said to avoid, draft the guys I said to draft, then talk to me at the end of the season. Hopefully I helped you win some money. All right, stay tuned in season, because in season every Tuesday night, we have a segment where we talk weekly dudes and duds. That's our starts and sits. And, man, that stuff's coming right down the pipe. I cannot wait. Canton's coming right down the pipe. We're going to be live from Canton Friday night. We're going to have a blast. I think we're getting some Chicago-style deep dish pizza Friday night. We got all sorts of stuff planned. Subscribe to the channel. If you're on Apple Podcasts, throw us a 5-star review. Throw us something funny, something cool in the comments. Secure yourself a Frankenstein spot for next year. That's how we let people get in. And be well, man. Justin, you got anything to say before we wrap this up?
Just hit that bell. You got the subscribe button right down here in the bottom corner, and make sure you hit the bell for the notifications, because there's literally shows coming out like almost every single day.
Every day. All right. Well, be well. Enjoy the rest of the week. If you're going to be in Canton this weekend, reach out to us. We'll look forward to meeting you.
For sure.
If you're in Frankenstein, let's draft, baby. All this build up, the monsters being built, and now we finally get a chance to make this draft. So a lot of good things coming up. So I hope for you as well. Good things are coming around the corner. We got football soon. So
if you want to come on the show at Canton, let us know.
Yeah.
You're going to be in Canton, you want to come on the show, let's make it happen.
Come on in. All right, we'll catch you all next week.